All right, welcome back everybody. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to Notes to Fret, where we are turning theory into riffs. This is our our supplemental video for finishing off our discussion regarding the circle of fifths. So here in this video, we are going to be looking at some of the just kind of finer nuanced details. If you've watched the other three videos, you pretty much have what you need to really be a very successful songwriter using the circle of fifths. But here we're going to dive into a little bit of the outlier sort of situations that we've touched upon a little bit in the conversations of our earlier videos, and just really kind of finish off everything that you really could possibly need to know about the circle of fifths. But again, we're kind of talking about the outlier kind of components here, and specifically we're talking about the C sharp major and the C sharp, or I'm sorry, the C sharp major and the C flat major keys, and how they're a little bit nuanced. Typically what we're looking at here, this is what you're going to see from a circle of fifths diagram almost universally. There may be some diagrams out there that have the C sharp major and the C flat major. I've never really seen them. I'm not saying that they're not out there, but want to explain how really the circle of fifths is very complete. But just so you understand where the C sharp and the C flat are kind of coming into play. In order to do this, I'm going to rearrange this picture of the circle of fifths. I'm more or less just kind of removing everything at the top, just so we can have a very clear discussion really about what's happening down at the 6 o'clock. Right now we have the G flat major and the F sharp major. And so I'm going to move it around because that's where we're going to start talking about the C sharp major and the C flat major together. So with that being said, I'm just kind of moving this around so we get a little bit of room without crunching everything in there together. And so nothing's really changed, right? We still have the A major, E major, B major, F sharp major, E flat major, A flat major, D flat major, G flat major, right? Just kind of move things around so we have a little bit of room. Now, down at the bottom, we are going to complete out in its entirety the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths. Here we see down at the 6 o'clock of the circle, we see the C sharp major and the C flat major, and they have corresponding or relative minors, same as C major. And C major, if you recall, has a relative minor of A minor. And so when we look at C sharp major and C flat major, they're also going to have A as their relative minors, with the exception that it's either going to be A sharp or A flat. So there's the minors for the relative minors for C sharp major and C flat major. And again, you can find this very easily just by going back a major third or going back 3 frets, and you'll come up with the minor. Now here we are very used to seeing the C major at the 12 o'clock position with the A minor. Now just down at the opposite spectrum of the circle of fifths, we see the C sharp and C flat. So let's go ahead, and even though we've already looked at the F sharp major into C sharp major, let's go ahead and verify the circle of fifths is still, everything is still in order, right? So we have all sharps because we're looking at the left, or I'm sorry, we're looking at the right side of the circle going in the clockwise direction. We're going to look at that first, so we're verifying our circle of fifths. So we're going from our F sharp major to our C sharp major. And again, that's 5 notes. And going from that F sharp into the C sharp, that indeed is 7 frets, 7 half steps, 7 semitones, which gives us our perfect fifth. So it's verified going from the F sharp major into the C sharp major. It's still the perfect fifth. Now let's go ahead and look at the opposing side to verify the circle of fourths. Here we're going to be looking at the left side of the circle and moving in the counterclockwise direction. So here we're talking about everything, all flats, right? Because we're talking about C flat major now. And from here, we're going from G flat major to C flat major. That's 4 notes away. And with that, that indeed is 5 frets, or 5 half steps, or 5 semitones, whichever one you want to call it. And that too is a perfect fourth for verifying our circle of fourths. So definitely, you know, the C sharp major and the C flat major work out, and it really completes the full circle of fifths. Just kind of as an FYI, so, and just again, in interest of being totally, you know, for absolute completeness, if you carry on with this circle, you'll wind up with the from the C sharp major to the G sharp major to the D sharp major to the A sharp major, and you'll just wind up with these double sharps, and you kind of wind up throughout the circle. You'd wind up reducing sharps as you move through it until here you would have, let's say, C sharp major at the 12 o'clock. You'd wind up with C major at the 6 o'clock, right? It'd just be a reverse, and it would just keep on cycling through. So nobody ever looks at this that way, but I did want to let you know, yes, if you really wanted to continue on this circle, you know, if you want to do it for kind of an exercise, you can. But you'll see that it just keeps circling through over and over. But this is the most that anybody looks and uses the circle of fifths. It really, you know, and again, don't really see at the 6 o'clock the C sharp major, the C flat major very often. But it is, I did want to show it to you for absolute completeness. Now, from here, what I want to do, kind of taking a look back at the circle of fifths as we normally see it, is looking at the key, what we call a key signature. So by being able to quickly look at a piece of music, and this is not reading music, this is just looking at a piece of music. If we look at a piece of music, how can we quickly tell which key that piece of music is actually written in? And the way that we do it, looking at a musical staff, the top staff here is typically what we'll see as guitar players. The middle staff, you'll see it if you're looking at a piece of music for violin, you'll often see this middle one. And then down at the bottom, if you're a bass player or a cello player, you'll see the bottom clef. The top clef is called the treble clef. The middle one's an alto clef, and the bottom one is a bass clef. Don't even worry about any of that. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up why it might look funky to you, but basically guitar players use the top one, violin players use the middle one, and bass players use the bottom one, right? And just these are the most common ones you'll see. But again, we're not reading music. You have all the information you need for now, understanding these clefs, right? Guitar, violin, bass, that's it. But what I do want to show you is, as we're looking at the clefs as they currently sit, all 3 of them, there's no sharps or no flats indicated, meaning that we are looking at the key of C major or A minor, okay? But what happens if we have 2 sharps? Well, we know that right off the bat, we are in D major or B minor, whichever one, right? And we talked a little bit about how to determine that. Now, a lot of guitar players are used to seeing this top treble clef, and they're not sure if they're looking at a piece of violin music, is that the same? Or they're looking at a bass clef, is that the same? Well, yeah, it is. So here, if we see a piece of violin music and there's 2 sharps, it's still D major or B flat minor. And exactly the same with our bass clef. If we see 2 sharps, we know that we're in D major or B flat minor. What about 4 sharps, right? The same exact thing. If we see that, we know that we're in E major or C sharp minor. And there's no difference. Placement of the sharps is a little bit different, but don't worry about that right now. So if we see 4 sharps on a piece of violin music, we know that we're in E major or C sharp minor. Same exact thing with the bass clef. If there's 4 sharps, we know that we're in E major or C sharp minor. Now, what about flats? Well, flats work the exact same way, right? So if we see 2 flats, we know we're in B flat major or G minor. Same thing. If we see a piece of violin music that has 2 flats, that too is in B flat major or G minor. And exactly the same if we see a piece of music with the bass clef with 2 flats, that too is B flat major or G minor. No different, right? If we see 4 flats, we're in A flat major or F minor. Same thing. If we see a piece of violin music, that's still A flat major or F minor. And bass, no different. 4 flats means we're in A flat major or F minor. And again, it's not about reading music. You don't have to. This isn't about trying to look at where the notes are right now on the clefs, or which notes they represent. You can just look at the pattern, right? 4 flats, A flat major, F minor, and then you just have to kind of look at the first bar, and oftentimes just the first note or first chord. And if it's a flat major, you're in a major key, and if it's an F minor, you're in a minor key. But it's still represented with 4 flats. The only thing I want to just really quickly point out is when it comes to key signatures, and that's what we're looking at here, something called a key signature. It happens at the beginning of a piece. Sometimes it will happen in kind of intermixed if the musician or the group or whomever is changing keys. You may see a key signature in the middle of a piece of music, but typically it just starts at the beginning of the piece. With key signatures, you will either see only flats or you will see only sharps. Inside a key signature, you will never see them combined. You won't see sharps combined with flats in the key signature. Now, during the piece of music, there may be what we call an incidental, a random sharp thrown in there, even though we may be in A flat major, right? The A flat major key signature is 4 flats, but somewhere in the piece of music, there may be randomly a C sharp in there. Just a C sharp note, or maybe a C sharp chord, doesn't matter. And there's reasons where that will happen, but what I'm talking about where you'll never see the intermingling of sharps and flats is in the key signature, okay? So just remember that. You won't see in the key signature any mixing between the two. Now, with all that being said, I do want to touch on one small little hint that will help you out tremendously as you do begin to look at a piece of music. Again, I'm not going to say we're not reading music. I'm just going to tell you one note on each one of these clefs, and you will probably never, ever forget these notes ever, because it's so simple. So let's take a look at the top clef. Again, the treble clef. This is what you're most likely to see as a guitar player. And one of the things I want to take a look at is you'll notice this large circle kind of down here, a little bit lower towards the bottom. And the second line from the bottom goes straight through that circle. Anytime that you see this circle clef looking thing, which is just the treble clef, any line that goes through this circle part is the G line. Anything that happens on this line is a G. That whole line, any dot you see on it is a G. It's just the way it works, right? So this clef, it doesn't matter if you move it up or down or anywhere else, wherever that line goes through that circle, that lower circle, that's G, right? And so right off the bat, you already know what G is. And so the clef is giving you a little hint. Now the middle one, a lot of violinists use it. Here, in between these two kind of semicircles coming together, that line there is a C. Wherever you see this clef, no matter if it's moving up or down or anything, the line that goes right through the middle is the C. So this entire line, anytime you see a dot on that line, it's a C note, period. Right? So you already know the G and the C just because it flat gives it to you based off the clef. And the bass clef is no different. What we're looking at is the line that goes in between the two dots. That is the F. So any dot that you see on this line, guaranteed it's an F. So it's just one of those things. It's one of the ways that the clefs have been designed. And so you know the G, the C, and the F for each one of the individual clefs. That's right off the bat, and you'll probably never forget that, right? So, and all of reading music is really is this straightforward. Little tricks here and there, and I'll probably make a couple videos about reading music. Let me know in the comments if it's a series you'd like to see, and if I get enough feedback, then I'll absolutely do it. But this is it. Circle of fifths. I think you have a really good understanding of it now. It's not too complicated once you look at it a couple times. And clefs, reading music, it's not going to be complicated either. This stuff is pretty straightforward once you just take a quick look at it. So anyways, that concludes everything with circle of fifths. We have a little idea on how the circle of fifths keys are going to translate into our musical staff, so we can look at it very quickly. 1 sharp, 2 sharp, 3 sharps. We know exactly what key we're in. 1 flat, 2 flat, 3 flats, 4 flats, 5, 6 flats, 7 flats. But we know if it's 7 to anything, we're in one of the C major chords. And if there's nothing at all, we know for a fact we're in just C major. But anyways, that's about all for now. Again, I really hope you got something out of this series of videos. They've been a lot of fun to make. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe because, anytime I come up with new videos, definitely get notified of that. And it really helps me out as well. So if you have gotten something out of this, please let me know. Let me know in the comments as well. I look forward to doing some more of these videos for everybody. And we will see you in the next series of videos. Take care, everybody.